just wanted to talk to you this week about ignoring, behaviours that we can ignore. Now there are two behaviours that we can't ignore. One is hitting and the other one is being destructive, and those need to be dealt with straight away. But everything else, really, if we train our minds, we can ignore. Now there's some things that drive you nuts. Things like whinging, whining, showing off, temper tantrums. Yes, the temper tantrums, that can be ignored as well. Interrupting, all of those things can be ignored. In the older child, it might be slamming doors and swearing. Now that's an even bigger one to try and ignore. But it can be done. And because all children want attention. And if they don't get it through good behaviour, then they'll try and get it through bad behaviour. Now in the child that's nagging and whining, you've got to make sure that they're not hungry or tired, because if that's the case, then there's a reason for them doing that. But if they've got into the habit of doing a lot of whinging and whining and nagging all the time, then we can use behaviour as a target to try and stop it. And the secret to doing that is to get yourself a magazine or a piece of paper, and on that piece of paper it might say, I am going to ignore that with the whinging and the whining, and I'm going to just sit here and take some deep breaths and ignore. And I mean ignore. That means not giving them any eye contact, and also not speaking to them at the time. So you're ignoring the behaviour, not the child. That's an important part to remember. And when it comes to a temper tantrum, that's a totally different thing altogether. And it can be very awkward when you're in the supermarket and the child's throwing themselves all over the floor. But it can be done. And what you need to do, if they're throwing a temper tantrum in the home, for instance, then move things out of the way, move any toys that are on the floor, throw a few cushions down, and then literally turn away. Now, with all of this, the behaviour might escalate to start with, because they're going to try their level best to get your attention. So it will seem to get worse before it gets better. But the key is also about being consistent, okay? It is no use keeping this up for 2 weeks, for instance, ignoring the behaviour and doing really well, and then one day you're tired, or you're not very well, or you've had a row with your husband or your wife and you're feeling really low, and you think, do you know what, I can't stand this any longer, and you shout and go mad. Then you've ruined the whole thing. So you have to be consistent. So you need to sit down and think about, pick a small behaviour to start with, one that you can try and overcome that doesn't irritate you too much. If it's the child is having a tantrum in the supermarket, make sure there is plenty of room for the child to throw themselves about and not get in anyone's way, and you are going to have to ignore that behaviour even though you're in the supermarket. You can turn to people and say, I'm sorry, just carry on. You know, she's having a bit of a tantrum. But try not to speak to the child. Don't complain or moan or say get up or any of those things, and don't give them eye contact. That is the biggest challenge when you're outside to overcome. But I have done it actually with one of my grandchildren a long time ago. If it's a teenager and they're slamming doors or sort of swearing, it's a difficult thing to ignore. For me, it was the slamming of the doors. I used to run up those stairs and shout like mad. This is all before I learned everything I know now. Because it was like a red rag for me. I couldn't stand it. But you need to leave them alone, basically. Don't shout back. Don't get into an argument. And it's the same with little children. Don't get into arguments with them. And then when the teenager has calmed down, that is the time to knock on the door and have a conversation. Because it could be that they've fallen out with their best friend at school, or somebody's upset them, or they've there's been in trouble with a teacher, you need to find out what it is. But you don't do it at the time, so you're ignoring that behaviour. It is a difficult thing to do, but it is a really good tactic to stop a behaviour. And once you've got past that and they've stopped the whinging or whatever it is that you're ignoring, and that's gone, you can then pick another habit that drives you mad and try that tactic. But start with a small one, because it is a difficult thing to start doing if you've never done it before. So target a behaviour and ignore it. No eye contact, no speaking to them, just ignore that behaviour, okay? It is a difficult one to do, but it can be done and it does work. So good luck and have a go. Let me know in the comments box how you get on. Okay, see you soon everyone. God bless. Bye.